The sire selection area is the ability to search the database for specific information on traits that the user is looking for. We can go to criteria, which is the place to start here, so we can set up the search that we want. You can see here as I scroll down quickly, there's a long list of traits. These are the traits that we've seen on those other tabs, and you can search for any of them. There's some default lists here, and the user can save the list and run even the next time after the program's updated. If you install, it will save all of your criteria, and you can rerun the same sort of list you're interested in the previous time. Once again, we can search for the available bull lists, or we can search for genomic young bulls for any areas, or we can even search the sire dictionary to look at all the bulls that are in the program. Well, let's put in a simple couple traits here and take a look at what we find. On the available items, we can double click on a trait and bring it over to the selected items. So I'm going to double click on PTA milk and PTA type. We'll keep it simple with a couple traits. So we have these. If we wanted to remove them, we could double click on them in the selected items and it will remove them. We have a field here called the operator, which we can double click. We can change that. It defaults to the most common one for most traits, but there may be some traits where you might be looking for a different, look for less than rather than greater than, so you could change that here, but we'll leave that alone. And then there's a value. You can double click on that and you get a box that you put a value in for that particular trait. For milk, we're going to put 1,000, so we're looking for bulls that are greater than 1,000 PTA milk, and we'll put 1 point on type, and then so we're going to look for bulls that fit those two criteria that have semen being marketed that are on our available bull list. We'll click run. We see there's 229 bulls, so that's a pretty long list. So we can say, well, that's a little too big. We can make an adjustment. We can do 2 for type. So we're looking for bulls that are 2 on type. And now we're down to 72. If we want to take a look at those 72 bulls now, we can click on reports, and we will get a display of those bulls that meet that criteria. We can sort this with any trait that we are interested in. Let's sort that by TPI. We can click on that and sort that by TPI, and we can see explode here is the highest TPI bull that meets our requirements. Or if we were more interested in which one's the highest milk bull, we can click on that. It does it in reverse order first, but we can do it again, and when we see the planet is the highest milk bull at 2323. Here the user can save this bull list if they want to manually adjust this, and then before they save it and kick some bulls out, even though they meet their requirements, they can click on that and move them around, or they can add some other bulls to the list. The Fields tab is an area where the user can change what appears in the reports regardless of what the criteria is. There's a default set there which we saw, but we can add a trait that hasn't been there before. Let's scroll down through here and find productive life, which isn't on our defaults, and we want to add that and see that information. And we have all these same things we did before. And I'll click on a multi-trade index, which we'll look at a little later. But we've added those into our reports, and as we go back to the reports, we can see that we've added those fields into our report. And then we can, from here, we can print these reports. We click on print preview. We will see what it looks like when we print the report. We can also export this in different formats. We can set to have a comma delimited format, and then we can export that and get a file that we can import into a spreadsheet, and then use that to sort it or import it into a herd management program. On these last two tabs, we have a couple things that we can use to make some additional information to sort bulls. The first one here being the mating index. The mating index is the simple little mating interface where the user can pick up to 4 different traits, and it calculates a mating index for the bulls in your list, regardless of, there's no concern for inbreeding or anything like that. It's just the ones that match best with these linear traits. So if we were looking for a bull that had stronger foreudder attachments and stronger udder cleft and was deeper bodied, we could calculate that. We'll get a pop-up here of our list with a mating index, and we can see this Alta Triangle bull is the best from our list of 2 on type 1,000 on milk bulls for those particular traits, and we can see some other good ones as it sorts by mating index. The multi-trade index is a little bit more of an involved bull comparison where we can create something that's similar to our TPI formula or whatever the user would want, that they can put the weights on their own traits that they would like. So let's create a fairly simple one here where we let's pick 4 traits, similar to how we did under criteria. We'll pick PTA milk, PTA protein, PTA type, and PTA productive life. So we're going to make a 4-trait index here. For this example, we want to weigh them evenly. If we want numbers similar to the TPI number, we need our weights to equal 100. So we're going to double click on the weight and change each one of these to 25. So what we're going to have is a list that's evenly distributed between these 4 traits. And also, to make it look similar to our TPI formula, we would want to add a constant that's similar to what's added to every bull in the TPI formula. We'll put 1832. That's the most recent number we've used as an adjustment constant. So we can calculate up to 4 of these by clicking on which index we want to define, and we'll hit calculate. So it's calculated a multi-trade index for every bull in the system using our measurements here. If we go back to the reports, we'll see we have our user multi-trade index that we added before, and we can sort that. And once again, we see our planet bull that we've looked at before that has user multi-trade index of 2213. He's the highest one from our bull list. It's very similar to his TPI numbers, but as you look down, we see some more variation between the actual TPI formula and the simple little index that we built. The user can build up to 4 of these with whatever traits that they want, and those are stored in there until the user overwrites them with a new formula, and they can be used to sort bulls rather than just having hard cutoffs. It can weigh the traits in whatever way the user would like. We'll move on to the next item here on the left, which is evaluate selection. We'll do this fairly quickly. The evaluate selection has a list of graphs that can be created based on your bull list that shows how they compare to the average of the available bulls. As you can see here, here's the TPI overview. And one of the things that this is used for most is when a bull list is created, the user can go to this AAA and DMS summary and get the bulls grouped into which AAA grouping they're in. So we can click on AAA and it'll sort our bulls into those lists, so we see how those are distributed among the areas if you use AAA as part of your mating program. So the input bull data quickly is an area where the user can change the information that they are allowed to edit within the program. Those user-defined fields we saw on the bull detail screen, along with the price if the user has a different price than what has been reported to us, or if they wanted to change the DMS or AAA codes that they use for a particular bull.